He wants to go to Newcomb first. Newcomb takes him on the post, give a great outside move, but he's covered great by Alvin Porter. So he has to find a second receiver, and he came back to Applegate and found Applegate. Now they got to measure and see if they got a first down.
They have enough. The drive marches on. Frank Solich in his second year after 36 years of Bob Devaney, the late Bob Devaney, and Dr. Tom Osborne. You know, there's a lot of jobs it's easy to come in and be the head coach. Well, it's never easy, but replacing, coming after two legends is not an easy task. Crouch follows Willie Miller, and he'll dive ahead for 8, and somebody was on the face mask. They'll tack a few more yards onto this carry.
Looked like somebody grabbed his face. You can see his head. It just jerked around a little bit. The one thing that Crouch can do for you is he doesn't take his option all the way outside like most quarterbacks. If he sees a gap, he explodes through it.
Terry Turlington, our referee today, indicating the face mask.
Crouch takes this ball. He's supposed to go all the way outside, but there's a big hole right there, and he explodes through the hole, and there's the face mask to pull around the face. Most option quarterbacks like to get the ball outside so they have the option to pitch it to their backs, but Crouch, when he sees a hole, he explodes through it.
J.B. Flowers, the man who grabbed the face mask. Crouch, when he runs it, nearly 5 yards a carry. He's explosive. You were remarking yesterday when we were watching film that when he's in the open field, he runs like a track sprinter.
You know what? We talked about that a little bit. When he gets in the open field, he drops the hammer. It's a running technique called dropping the hammer, and that's exactly the way he runs. And they teach that in track.
Willie Miller with the football. And the fullback gets 5 or 6 on the quick hitter. Nebraska in the red zone, traditionally outstanding. And this year, 17 opportunities, 11 touchdowns, 10 of them on the ground.
Well, you know exactly how they want to score. That's Nebraska football. We're going to run that ball into the end zone.
They can get a first down inside the 2. Alexander does well to hold on to the football on the pitch. Evan Howell took his legs out, so it'll be 3rd down and a couple, and 4 yards for the touchdown. Defensively, no touchdowns allowed by this Oklahoma State defense in goal-to-go situations. Big 94 in there is Jaquay Thomas. He's had a good start to his career, the junior college transfer from Northeastern Oklahoma A&M. Crouch, touchdown. They took advantage of the turnover, and they move it 50 yards.
I tell you what, Nathan Simmons probably feeling bad because that was his fumble that occurred, and Nebraska is great at taking those turnovers and making points out of it.
Josh Brown to attempt the extra point. And the sidewinder boots it through, 7-0 with 9:36 to go in the opening quarter. In front of another packed house in Lincoln. From 4 yards away puts Nebraska on top, 7-0. They were stopped their initial possession, but then they picked up the fumble and they go 51 yards in 9 plays. Dan Haydenfeld, the punter, also is the kickoff man. That's Jamal Fobbs. And Fobbs will get a chance. And he's scoots out at the 20-yard line. Let's pick up the touchdown again on the option.
Crouch does a great job of getting up in there. He's a running back at quarterback, but if you look at Willie Miller, 6'1", 245-pound, leading up in there, he's in the end zone by the time that Crouch gets touched. I tell you what, they talk about pancakes. Watch Adam Jones. He takes the guy to the ground. That's a pancake, and they take pride in that here at Nebraska. Almost messed up and said Oklahoma.
Hey, you're lucky they allowed you into town. Don't mention Norman here. Simmons ahead for about 3 or 4. Chris Kelsey made the tackle. There's our Buick scoring drive. 9 plays, 51 yards, a little less than 3.5 minutes. The amazing thing about that fumble, they had an off week, Oklahoma State, after their loss at Mississippi State, when they had 6 turnovers and 8 fumbles, 5 of which they lost. All they worked on was ball security and fundamentals. They go straight ahead again for a couple of yards. That's Jeremy Hafferty. It'll set up 3rd down and 4. There's the Southwestern Bell Wireless defensive line. Steve Warren is really coming on for Nebraska at the linebacker level. Julius Jackson has 3 interceptions already this year and a couple of fumble recoveries. He scored twice against Southern Miss. Mike Brown is as good a defensive back as they've ever had here. Tall statement, but he gets it done. Here's the delay. Simmons won't get near the 30. Carlos Pope, the middle backer, 13. And also Tony Ortiz, number 37, to stuff it.
When you look at Carlos Pope, he's weighing 250 pounds. He's a junior. He's a big inside guy. I asked Charlie McBride, I said, Charlie, can he cover at 250 pounds? He said he has great feet. He can cover also.
Scott Elder will punt. Keogh, Craver, and Bobby Newcomb back deep. This is a short punt, and it takes the Nebraska hop. A big-time Nebraska hop. So the Huskers will have another short field to work. They'll have it at the plus 49 when we come back to Lincoln. Hook up with Crouch. And Buckhalter takes it in. His 2nd rushing touchdown of the year. And Josh Brown makes it 14-0 with 7:06 to go in the first quarter. Who's on the near side? Nebraska leading 14-0. Terrell Buckhalter, over 130 yards rushing last week in the 40-10 win over Missouri. He gets in the end zone from a couple of yards away. Fobbs from the 5. It opens up a little bit, and Jamal twists to the 26-yard line.
Well, when you watch Eric Crouch, he goes through his option. You know what? He goes to the first one, fake it to the fullback, and he brings it out. There's a bunch of blockers up in front of him, and that is easy pitching. He reads the defensive end and does a great job. Right here, the defensive end takes him, he pitches to Buckhalter, and he is in the end zone untouched.
Oklahoma State needs to respond. Got an unbalanced line to the top. They go to the weak side. Here's Simmons. And he'll get maybe 2 or 3. Carlos Polk reacts quickly. The middle backer with help from Mike Brown, number 21. The scoring drive brought to you by Buick. 2 plays, 49 yards. The big play, the Crouch hookup with Grant Wistrom's little brother. Tracy Wistrom takes it 47 yards to the 2. Simmons will get to about the 34-yard line, and that'll set up a 3rd and 2. And coming in, Ron Calcagney, the offensive coordinator for Oklahoma State, said, we want to be physical, we want to run right at them and set up 3rd and short.
You know what? When Ron Calcagney said that, he didn't think he was going to be down 14 points. He can't press. They've got to keep doing this. They got to keep trying to get to the 3rds and 2 the way they are now. He can't say we're so far behind. There's still a lot of time to play in the game.
They're unbalanced to the top again. Simmons, close, but I don't know if he got there. It is hard to make a living running between the tackles against Nebraska.
I tell you what, it's hard to make a living running outside the tackles against Nebraska. They have so much team speed. Sometimes it looks like it's going to be a positive game, and all of a sudden these quick linebackers they have show up in only a 2-yard gain.
Well, by the spot, I don't think they got enough. They didn't. Simmons has sent his quarterback, B.J. Tiger, back into the football game. Down 14-0 on their own 35-yard line. They're going to go for it.
He's sending a message here.
And I believe he'll have the first down. There's no question he'll have it.
You know, when they walk up to the line of scrimmage, he walks up, and usually what they do is they pick the open hole when you're a quarterback, and you go for the open hole. It looked like B.J. Tiger took almost a whole step back, and then he went for it to go try to find a positive play there.
He actually ended up going off his right guard, Adam Davis, which is usually a pretty good decision.
You know, if you go off Adam Davis, you can't make a bad decision. You know, he's a guy, all Big 12 team captain type of guy that you're looking to make big plays for you.
Here's a counter to Simmons. And again, Pope, number 13, is the first to arrive.
We're talking about
Aaron Wills, 81.
Talking about this Nebraska defense. I just said it looked like it was an open hole. Then all of a sudden it just closed up. Those linebackers do a great job of filling. When you look back here and you see the ball come back to Simmons, there was a nice counter. It looks like an open hole there. And then all of a sudden, there's Pope. There's Willis. They're all up in there just stopping the play.
Here's Jamal Fobbs. Nowhere to run. That's Shaw. Brian Shaw, the senior from DeWeese, Nebraska. Erase that play. It'll be 3rd and 9. It is never easy to run against Nebraska. Look at this. 4 teams, Iowa, Cal, Southern Miss, Missouri, all less than 2.5 yards a carry. Missouri, 0.8. Are you kidding me?
Drew, that couldn't be good.
No, and it wasn't. What that was the wrong end of 40 to 10. They need the 47-yard line. Tiger will be dropped at the 30. He escaped twice, but he couldn't escape Chris Kelsey.
When you listen to Kirk Farmer, the quarterback from Missouri last week, he said these guys line up exactly what they're supposed to do. But I tell you one thing, they get there. I don't know how they do it. But when you watch it, it's great coverage. Great coverage. That's what you call a cover sack. He wants to throw it to somebody. Nobody's open. And then he goes and moves. Usually you can get a receiver open sometime during the play, but they couldn't get one. That's a coverage sack.
Joe Walker back deep. Elder under pressure. It's blocked. Loose football. Nebraska will have it 1st and goal. Brian Shaw may have gotten a block. He came clean right up the gut.
How many of those have we seen this year? It's been a lot of blocks. People are talking about putting their best player on defense. And what they do is they just come in an all-out rush up and he's unblocked, and he gets it, rolls down, and then they try to pick up the ball and get in the end zone, but that's not a bad play on that. and he runs out there and he tries to cover it. I tell you what, this Nebraska, everybody thinks big plays. He wanted to pick the ball up and get into the end zone. That was a big play by Shaw, though.
Coulter and Willie Miller crouch to throw. End zone just out of the reach of John Gibson.
That's that placement I was talking about. He did a great job of putting that ball where the receiver could only get it, where the defensive back couldn't get it. And that's what I was surprised about when I saw Eric Crouch and his throwing ability. He does a great job of putting that ball where only the receiver can get it.
That was the first punt that Elders had blocked this year. Brian Shaw has Nebraska set up at the 8. But you're right, Keith. Everybody's had punts blocked this year. Crouch takes a look at the defense and calls a timeout. So it'll be 2nd and goal. We had an opportunity to talk to Eric Crouch yesterday about a number of topics. And one of the things we talked about was the quarterback controversy, and if he felt comfortable now as the #1 guy.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about it. You know, there's been a couple, times before where, the position wasn't quite set, or, you didn't know who was going to be playing and how much and what time you're going into the game. So now I feel pretty comfortable with where I'm at. I know that, it's my offense now, that, I've got to do everything I can to try to get this team rolling and motivate them as much as possible.
One of the interesting things last week when Crouch hooked up, Keith, with Bobby Newcomb from 53 yards away against Missouri, the first guy down the field to jump into Bobby Newcomb's arms was Eric Crouch.
Well, maybe for a couple reasons. He's saying, I want you to stay at wingback so I can stay the #1 guy. That's a great thing. But the one thing that he did is he wanted to get Bobby Newcomb in the game. He said that the week before. I want to get Bobby Newcomb a touchdown, and that's who he wanted to get the ball to. They are great friends. And you know what? Bobby Newcomb made a sacrifice. He said, I want to make us a better team, and I believe I can do it at wingback.
And Frank Solich, all the coaches, effusive in their praise of Eric Crouch and Bobby Newcomb, how well they handled the situation and what kind of character people they are. Davison in motion. Here's Buckhalter. How easy was that? That's option football to perfection. I guarantee you one thing. This is not how Bob Simmons envisioned starting the football game. Brian Shaw made it all happen with the block punt. He's got his own cheering section.
I tell you what, they've been doing a great job on the option so far. We talked to Rob Ryan earlier in the week, and he said the thing that he wanted to do was to make sure that they went through their reads and made sure that they carried out the play.
Brown's extra point is true, 21-0. Well, Brian Shaw understood coming into today that he's a senior, and it was Brian Shaw Day because Brian Shaw has never gotten anything but an A here in Lincoln, Nebraska. He has a 4.0 GPA in animal science. He's a second-team academic All-American, 3-time first-team academic All-Big 12 player, a former walk-on. It is Brian Shaw Day today at Memorial Stadium, and he thought it would be fitting to make a big play.
Well, the one thing that people probably don't know about Brian Shaw is that he has a 36-inch vertical, and he can get up. And when he comes through there, he shows a little vert there. He just barely goes up and tips it and gives a great block and sets it up for his team. Krause does a great job. He's been running option all day. This is what you call a counter option. You get the the linebackers off track, and he gets a pitch. Somebody did not get to pitch relation. There's an assignment for the quarterback, and there's an assignment for the back. Somebody did not get to the back, and it probably was caused, Drew, by the fact that he did a counter option. Probably was a linebacker got hung up on the counter option.
Jamal Fobbs again from the 5. And he's run out at the 34-yard line. Ralph Brown, the senior corner, got him at that point. Another Nebraska scoring drive brought to you by Buick. Just 8 yards. Well, they had to go 51, 49, and 8. They're playing in half a football field, Keith.
Yeah, it's tough, especially when you start getting turnovers. This is something that Coach Simmons talked about. We don't want to do that. We're getting back to basic, a little bit about what you talked about earlier. Going back to basic, handling the ball well, making sure you do the things that help you win.
Here's Fobbs. He's going to lose a bunch. Ralph Brown again making the tackle. They're going to lose about 7 on that play. He's started every game in his Nebraska career. The senior from Hacienda Heights, California. Today, number 43.
With as much speed as Jamal Fobbs has, I don't know if he has as much speed to outrun this defense. They do a great job of stringing him out and letting the guy on the outside make the tackle, Ralph Brown. He does a little celebrating there, huh?
Nebraska showing blitz, and the play clock's at 0. That'll be 2nd and 22. Oklahoma State going the wrong direction. And Keith, coming into this game, they're an offense trying to find an identity with 2 young quarterbacks, B.J. Tiger, and we'll also see Ben Bowling. And when you're going against Charlie McBride's defense, you can't be behind 21-0 when you're still trying to find your way, particularly here in Lincoln.
It's very difficult to catch up when you have a defense like this. It's very difficult to stay ahead when you have a defense like this.
Quarterback draw, Tiger. And he'll get some of the yardage back out to the 32. It'll be 3rd down and about 13. Julius Jackson, 50, covered him up.
I think that was a great call by Ron Calcagney. What he wants to do is just try to get about half the yards back on 2nd down, and then 3rd down, try to go for the other half you've got to get.
Well, you can have the 3rd-ranked defense in the country, but when you are being put up with 8 yards in front of you to try to keep the team out of the end zone, it's tough. And when you're constantly on the field, it's tough. Which means this offense for the Cowboys has to do something. And right now they're going to call a timeout.
You know, the sideline has got to do their job also. I think they had a player running in late in the game. You got a guy, he's uncomfortable, and B.J. Tiger, and then you want him to be comfortable, then you got to make sure that everybody around him do his job. If he's not a veteran guy like you had at Tony Lindsay, you got to make sure everybody do their job.
Well, next week, Folsom Field to take on the Colorado Golden Buffaloes. Here in Lincoln, 21-0 Nebraska in the first quarter. Still has 1:09 left.
Look at Correll Buckhalter. He probably says, you know what? It's easy scoring. I've gone in untouched. Offense talked about going back to basics, and I said, Coach Simmons, what do you mean by basic? I said, do you mean by 3-point holding the ball? He said, yeah, just tucking the ball away, 3 pressure points, just going back to old high school football, and that's what he's tried to do. But I hadn't seen any positive out of all that.
Well, not yet. And your game plan may be thrown out the window, down by 3 touchdowns early. Go incomplete. It'll be 4th down. They were trying to get it to Terrence Richardson, and number 3, Keel Craver, had the good coverage. Here's Craver, the sophomore. Well, they wanted to be physical. That's how they had success last year with Nebraska, but you can be physical all you want when it's a tight football game. All of a sudden, down 21-0 makes it real difficult. Joe Walker backpedals to the 20. And he'll get to the 28-yard line. Let's take a look at our sleep-in first quarter numbers. Nebraska with 111 yards. Oklahoma State with 12. That's about all you need to know.
That says a lot when you only have 12 yards. This game has been dominated so far by Nebraska. Nebraska's done all the things that Bob Simmons, the coach over with the Cowboys, has said that he wanted his team to do, and that's why they're so successful.
And you saw the one turnover. It's really two with the block punt. And Terrell Buckhalter somehow went into the pile and came out the other side. Give me.
The one thing about these backs, they're big, strong backs, and what they can do is they can pound it up in here. When you watch Buckhalter, you try to wonder, how does he get through that hole? He just keeps his feet moving and pounding and grinding, and that's the thing that they can do. I mean, Nebraska has some great home run backs, but these guys are some power backs.
He actually got 9, 2nd and 1. Willie Miller, big opening. And he rumbles over the 50 to the 48. He just flat ran over Evan Howell.
This offensive line, Nebraska, take pride in opening up holes and getting pancakes. And there's a big open hole in there, and Willie Miller just runs through it. And instead of throwing a move, he just power drives over Evan Howell.
He got 13 yards, and that'll be the final snap of the first quarter. To say it was dominated by Nebraska would be a grand understatement. 21-0 Huskers. Nebraska in front of close to 78,000, the 230th consecutive sellout at Memorial Stadium. This is the second largest crowd ever in Memorial Stadium history. They've expanded it by a couple of thousand folks from last year. $36 million new press facility with 42 skyboxes in place, plus the increase in attendance. Here's Buckhalter, and he lost his footing at the 50-yard line. Let's check in with Jim Knox. Knoxy.
All right, Drew, I'll tell you what's hurting Oklahoma State today. It has to be the loss of linebacker Keanu Wright. He broke his hand in the game against Mississippi State. Now, I talked to Keanu. He told me he felt his hand hurting in the second quarter. He just thought it was bruised. He played the rest of the game with a broken hand. Right now has 4 screws in it. Keanu Wright, definitely a tough guy, but right now he's on the bench this afternoon watching.
I tell you what, he's important, and the reason why he's important, he gets to change. You see a different formation, he can change the formation for him.
Crouch gets it away. Frankie London pulls it in. A one-time quarterback here at Nebraska. Alvin Porter pulls him down. The possessions today for Nebraska, the first time they had it, they were forced to punt. 3 and out. But on the first play for Oklahoma State, they fumbled. And the next 3 possessions, what Frank Solich likes to see.
Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown on the next 3 possessions. I tell you what, everybody's kind of criticized this Nebraska team. All I've seen is great stuff against a great defense, especially this offense is doing a great job for Nebraska.
3rd down and 6. Blitz coming. Crouch gets it away. Good defensive play. That was Howell closing on Sean Applegate. And Evan Howell broke it up. And the Huskers will have to punt.
In the past, when you look at Nebraska, they always depended on that big play where they fake in there, and then they had a guy wide open downfield. Eric Crouch allows you the ability to be able to throw the ball. That was just excellent coverage by Howell. He did a terrific job of coming up on there. He's a great cover guy.
Richardson will let it go over his head. And look at this. At the 1-yard line, maybe the 1-inch line. Everything going the way of Nebraska. Randy Stella down there to down the football. There's Mr. Stella, who downed the punt inside the 1-yard line. Hayden felt a 45-yard boot, and he put a little backspin on it.
He used his 9-iron, Drew. He used his 9-iron and hit it bounce. But when you look at Stella, he's returning kickoffs, and he's a linebacker. I looked at it and said, I thought it was a mistake. A linebacker returning kickoffs, and he's a willing linebacker, so he can get down there and do those type of things.
Well, they got plenty of linebackers at can run. Ben Bowling now in at quarterback. And he gives to the fullback, Jeremy Hafferty. And Hafferty gets maybe a yard and a half. Interesting, Bowling's going to play today, and we knew that going in. He gets his first snap in his own end zone. That can't be a real comfortable feeling.
Well, he probably want to go to the coach and say, Coach, can you wait till we're at the 20-yard line before I get my chance?
Simmons is the tailback, 2 tight ends. Bowling in trouble, a safety. Aaron Wills was not fooled. Now flag has come down. Wills might have been on the face mask.
I think it was a little grab in the face mask there. But as fast as this defense is, I don't care if you trick them. Those guys can get to the ball. And Willis has been a great story for him. A guy who tested positive for drugs and went through some turmoil, but turned his life totally around. And now he has the opportunity to make a big play in this game right now.
Terry Turlington will sort it out for us. Oklahoma State applauding, so we think they caught a break. They did.
You know, that was a big play by Willis. He did a great job. What they do is they tell you to stay at home. So here's the fake handoff, and you don't see him. He'll come up now. And the one thing he does is that defensive end spot is stay at home. So he stayed at home and made a big play, but he just got a little face mask that time.
Well, big break for Oklahoma State. They'll have the first down out around the 16-yard line. Simmons tripped up by Kelsey. He got penetration and maybe a yard on the play. Well, Oklahoma State was thrilled that they had an extra week to prepare for Nebraska, but so far you wouldn't know it by their performance. And after an open week, their record really not stellar in the 90s.
And I don't care. I don't think Nebraska is a team you want to play anytime, even if it's after an open date or before an open date.
You can have a year to prepare for Nebraska, and it's not enough. Counter, Fobbs trying to get wide. He's got the corner. And he's run out of bounds at the 30-yard line. A first down.
Run out of bounds by number 46.
That's where they like to get Jamal Fobbs, to the corner, because he's got the extra gear.
Where he can switch gears on you. He can take off. They try to run a counter here. They're trying to get him off tack. They can't go up the middle. They hadn't had success, so they try to get outside. And you see big old Adam leading him on the outside. And that was a great move by him. And that was a rare missed tackle by Mike Brown there. And he gets on around the corner.
This is Kevin Brown, and he gets just a couple of yards.
Kevin Brown is a pretty good runner at fullback. I'm surprised they don't put him up in there a little bit more, let him pound up in there, soften it up a little bit for Simmons and Fobbs so they can hit it up in there. When you look at him, he was a guy that had a little trouble with his weight. And I don't mean to be picking in his business, but I read where he got married. And I know when I got married, I gained a lot of weight.
And your wife's a little upset with how much fried food you eat, isn't she?
Oh, be quiet.
Not much doing on second down. Jamal Fobbs on the right side for maybe a yard.
You know, in your original game plan, you want to run the ball on first down, run on second down, show them how tough you are. But when you look at the scoreboard now, down 21-0, you're in Lincoln, Nebraska. You got to start thinking, I need to get the ball to Richardson. I need to get the ball to Howell so they can make some big plays to get us back in the game.
3rd and 7 for Bowling here. Pass is incomplete. Good coverage by Craver on Ethan Howell. So Oklahoma State will have to punt. About the only thing they were able to accomplish there is not getting a safety and at least getting some room.
Well, they still got
Elder, their punter.
They still got to get the punt off. They had a little trouble with that earlier today. But you know what? There are some positives in there to grow on a little bit. They got the ball outside of a speed defense.
Pressure coming. Elder gets it away. Good punt. Walker backs up to his 27. And a flag comes in, and that could have been a violation of the halo.
Yeah, I think that's that old halo rule. I think he got a little close. But, you know, sometimes what happens, they get pushed in the back. They don't want to get that close to the guy that gets shoved in the back.
Well, that's what it was. It was the shove in the back, which would have violated the halo. So the officials on top of it. And the punt of 40 yards by Scott Elder.
Interference with the opportunity to catch the catch. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Oh, excuse me. So it is a penalty against Oklahoma State. It was the halo infraction and not the block in the back. We'll step aside. 21-0 Nebraska. Nebraska leading Oklahoma State 21-0. Eric Crouch has been in the end zone today. Let's take a look at our Dr. Pepper Big 12 Conference leaders, pass efficiency leaders. Josh Heupel having a great year. Then Crouch, number 2. Mike Machete from Colorado. We'll see him next week against the Missouri Tigers. Drew Goodman, Keith Jackson, Jim Knox from Lincoln. 10:31 to go in the first half. And that'll be a loss on the play. Alexander gobbled up almost immediately by Courtney Mallory, the 290-pound senior defensive tackle from Detroit. Coming up later in the game, we will select our BMW play of the game.
I tell you what, Mallory did a great job of exploding through the line and make something happen. This defense is what Oklahoma State depends on. They've got to come up with a turnover or a big play.
They might have to score. Here's Alexander with room. And he's tripped up after a pickup of about 14. When he gets his shoulders square, he's not a guy you want to tackle.
You know what? Coach Frank Solich said that yesterday. He said he may not be the fastest guy on the team, but when he hits you, you know you've been hit. They do a great job. This all starts with the quarterback and with a great read. Somebody did not get out there to make a tackle. He gets those shoulders upfield, and really nobody wants to make that tackle. He's a big, strong guy, a guy that ran a 4.68 last year, gained weight, and took his 40 time down to a 4.53. So that's impressive.
Well, it's scary because he weighs close to 250 pounds, 4% body fat.
You know, guys like that, cold weather is great for, because in hot weather, when you have that lower percentage of body fat that big, they normally cramp up. So he must love being in Lincoln, Nebraska today.
It was cool. We were talking about that on the drive over the stadium. This is one of those days where you might get a little shy in the secondary, because every time your hands hit that hard plastic on the helmet or the shoulder pads, it stings for about a month.
And when you have guys like Buckholter and Alexander that weigh a lot and bring the heat, yeah, you might not want to tackle them. But this is Oklahoma State, and they're coached by Rob Ryan, and I know that they want to lay some level.
3rd down and inches. Crouch takes it himself, 1st down.
You know, we talked about Crouch early in the day. He's matched up against Rob Ryan's defense. He has a lot of confidence, and when they told him, you're the guy, Bobby Newcomb's going to play wing back, you know, he has utmost confidence now, because he knows that if I make a bad play, they're not going to snatch me for the game. This is my team.
Yeah, he definitely is carrying himself that way. And Bobby Newcomb's already had a couple of carries in this game, so they're getting him involved. Here comes a reverse to Newcomb on cue. Crouch out there to block for him. And Bobby Newcomb will get it inside the 35 to the 34, and there might have been a late hit. At the start of the year, Bobby Newcomb, in a very close battle, was named the starting quarterback over Eric Crouch. Crouch was disappointed, very disappointed, as you might expect, but he pointed out that he never thought about leaving the team, contrary to what some people said on talk shows in Nebraska. And some people wrote, Eric Crouch said, I never contemplated leaving.
What about the unselfishness of these two guys? you look at Newcomb. He wants to make this team a better team, and that's what he said. They're putting the best 11 players on the field. When you have Newcomb at wing back and watch the day he's having so far, they got the best guys on the field. Now, Newcomb is still taking snaps at quarterback. If anything happened to Crouch, he will move back and play for quarterback.
He's not listed number 2 on the depth chart. Jeff Perino is. But if Crouch were to go down in a close football game or for extended period, Bobby Newcomb would be back under center. On the option, Alexander gets a couple before J.B. Flowers grabs him up around the shoulders. There's 58, Kevin Williams. He was around the football as well. The redshirt freshman from Arkansas. You know that state a little bit.
Fordyce, Arkansas, outstanding basketball player who I hear Eddie Sutton is talking to him in his ear, saying you ought to come out and play a little post position for me. They've been pleasantly surprised with his play so far. He does a great job on that corner coming off. He really be spectacular against passing teams because he's a great rusher.
2nd and 9. Crouch. Oh, that was a dangerous throw. Evan Howell nearly had the pick. And we were talking about Oklahoma State maybe needing to score defensively. They would have had their chance right there.
You know what? Evan Howell is a guy that can cover and he can run. If he didn't caught that ball, nobody would have caught him. But the thing that they wanted to do was they wanted to know where Bobby Newcomb was at all time. And so they were going to cover him. They didn't put a special defense in, but they wanted to know where he was. So they knew where he was. Evan Howell stepped in front of the ball and couldn't catch it and couldn't take it to the house.
A flag came in late. And it'll be a procedure penalty against Nebraska.
You know, we were interviewing Rob Ryan, and he said that any time that Bobby Newcomb comes into the game, they want to be aware of him. They're not going to put in a special package to stop him, but they want to be aware of him in the game.
Decline, 3rd down.
And so far, they probably know where he is, but they just can't catch him.
3rd down and 9. 21-0 Nebraska. And another whistle. And the timeout indicated by Oklahoma State. 7:58 to go in the first half.
State 21-0. And a reminder for you Big 12 sports fans, don't forget to keep up with your favorite team. All you have to do is log on to Big12Sports.com for the latest. Interesting vote this week. They asked you to vote on the toughest football stadium to play in the Big 12. I'm sure Keith Jackson and Drew will be casting their vote after this game, guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jim, I know Keith Jackson will tell you one of the toughest places to play anywhere in college football is right here.
I tell you what, this is a tough place to play, but I'm going to tell you something, Drew. These are some of the nicest fans that you will ever meet away from home.
They're very respectful, very knowledgeable. 3rd and 9, option, Buckhalter with room. He'll have the first down and more inside the 10-yard line. Whoa, I might have spoken too quickly. They're going to mark them out around the 9.5. It's going to be very close. That's why you heard some of the boos in the background. Looked like he had enough initially.
We know that Couch is going through his reads. He's doing a great job of that. He has to pitch the ball. But watch the receiver up here. It looked like Davison up there getting a great block to help Buckholter get to at least close to a first down. But it looked like it's going to be 4th down.
It's going to be 4th down and short. I don't know. Flags flew. This one won't count. Had it counted, though, I don't think Crouch got anything.
Well, I tell you one thing, he doesn't have the biggest body. He's not a real big guy at, 6'1", 195 pounds.
False start on the offense. 4th down.
No, he doesn't. Now you have a different deal. It's 4th and 6. And I imagine Frank Solich will bring the field goal unit out. So Josh Brown will come into the game.
You know, as well as they're playing today, you look at Frank Solich's face, he's a little upset about that. He wanted another touchdown.
It's still early. One never knows. 31 yards away from the far hash. And now movement again. And if this is on the defense, they get the 5 yards back, and Frank Solich would have another decision.
Dead ball. False start. On the offense. 5-yard penalty.
Well, just making it a little more difficult for old Josh Brown.
I don't know if the fans like that call too much.
Well, Josh is probably saying, you know what? I could withstand about 4 more of those penalties before it gets a little uncomfortable.
He's a great kicker. He can put the ball through, and this is great practice for him.
This will be a 36-yarder now. London has it down, and the kick is through. So Nebraska extends their lead to 24-0. Their offense has been very good, and their defense has been very good.
You know, coming in here, you talk about this defense. They've been a little upset because everybody's talking about Oklahoma State's defense, and they didn't feel like they got the respect that they needed. They do a great job of running the ball down, and I said it once before that it looks like they're going to have positive plays, and they just close the door on you. They've been doing a fantastic job up front all day long with those linebackers who can run. I mean, they have linebackers who run, but they're surprisingly, their down linemen have been the guys that they're really happy about, because when you have 2 big guys in the middle, namely Steve Warren, you can stop that run and make people run outside. That's where the speed of your linebackers come in, and they've been happy with Steve Warren, who I hear can sing a little bit like Barry White.
You've been snooping around?
Well, I wanted to hear him a little bit yesterday. I didn't get a chance.
Little Barry White, huh?
Well, you just got to imagine a guy that weighs 300 pounds has to sing like Barry White.
To the 15-yard line. Reggie White didn't get far. Let's check in with Jim Knox.
Hey, Drew, got to show you this. Check out the new field here at Memorial Stadium. You got the grass underneath. You got the recycled tires. That's right, 13,000 recycled Nebraska tires. Now, this would cause a little problem on opposing teams. They're not exactly sure on what kind of shoe to bring. Oklahoma State, they brought the cleats. They also brought the short cleats. They also brought the natural turf cleats. They don't know what to do. 280 pair of cleats. Oklahoma State, hey, they don't know what to do out there.
Here's Simmons to the 20. Hey, Jim, save a pair of 10.5s, and Keith needs a pair of 15s. He's got big boats.
Hey, we're at 13s, but we had a great time out on that field yesterday. We had an opportunity to run on the field, and we had on plain tennis shoes, and we were making nice cuts. I wanted to let everybody know, Drew, you have a nice arm. You could have been a quarterback.
Well, it's that artificial surface, Keith. But it's funny. It feels like grass. Simmons with an opening to the 32.
Now
Here's a Buick scoring drive for Nebraska. They come away with 3 points from Josh Brown. He plays 46 yards. Big play, Bobby Newcomb had a 20-yard run.
You know, 6 minutes left to go in the quarter. I think they finally figured out what exactly they want to do at the beginning of the game, to run the ball for positive yards on first down, positive yards on second down. That was a great series of plays for Oklahoma State.
Can they sustain it? Bowling remains the quarterback. And there was contact on the out-and-up move at the 40-yard line. Ethan Howell saying, hey, I was interfered with.
Well, I'm an old receiver, but I sure believe that was interference myself. He gave him a nice stop. You cannot run in front of the receiver like that and stop him from going on his route, and that's exactly what happened on that play.
The man who had the collision was Keel Craver. They say, believe it or not, as great as Ralph Brown has been, they say Craver has better talent. 2nd and 10. Simmons, pretty good move before Ralph Brown hit him low and knocked him down.
I tell you what, that offensive line looked like they're stepping up and they're taking a challenge and they're opening holes up front. And that is a positive gain. Once again, that's a positive gain. They got to start getting a positive and try to inch back into this game.
Yeah, I mean, their MO is not to drop back 30 or 40 times a game. They want to be a physical football team. But it's tough when you're in a 24-point hole. Bowling is dumped. Boy, Nebraska stayed at home on the waggle, didn't they?
I tell you what, they did a great job. Bowling went through his read, but you want to know something? They put a lot of pressure on you on this defense. He goes and he gives a nice fake. Now he's trying to come around. They're trying to sneak Kevin Brown out of the backfield, but you know what? Willis does a great job of reading it and putting pressure on him. He hung off him a little bit, and another guy, Julius Jackson, was covering Brown, so he couldn't get the ball off.
Joe Walker back. No fair catch for Mr. Walker. And he's erased. It's right where he caught it at the 34-yard line. And let's pay a visit to Jim Knox. Nim.
All right, thanks, Drew. Coming up on the Sonic America's Drive-In Halftime Report, we got a good one. Keith Jackson's coaching tips. Keith does a little jamming with the defensive secondary here at Nebraska. Also look back at some big plays in the Big 12 and look ahead to other Big 12 actions set for later today, including a preview on tonight's Texas Tech, Texas A&M game. That's coming your way on the Sonic America's Drive-In Halftime Report. Drew?
All right, Jim, thank you. Willie Miller and Correll Buckhalter. Late pitch, Buckhalter. He stepped out of bounds. At the 44-yard line, he stepped out. But I'll tell you what, the big man showed he can run.
He showed he has some speed, and I will tell you something. The sideline is your 12th man. They call the sideline your 12th man, and that 12th man came into play then to do a great job of pitching the ball out, and then he's straightened up. He's ready to get out here, and he's running down the sideline, but there's that 12th man coming in right there. And he really had no reason to step out of bounds. He had enough room, but I tell you what, he was excited to get in that open field. They hadn't seen open field like that in a little while.
22 yards on the advance. The Oklahoma State defense, Keith, has to be getting fatigued.
Well, the one thing about it is when you look at that defense, you're missing a big component in Kenyatta Wright.
Willie Miller. Here's Miller trying to sprint into the secondary, knocking people over to the 25. That is vintage Nebraska football.
They're running that inside trap to the fullback and doing a great job. You ask Frank Solich, you say, hey, can this guy run the ball? Is he just a blocker? And he said he's an outstanding runner up in the middle. They run that little trap inside and get a big hole in there, but he breaks a tackle right there. When you look how strong he is, he pulled away. Here's a guy that come back from a couple of injuries, that abdominal muscle, had a growing muscle pull, but you can tell right there on that play.
You got 19. Crouch cutting it back. He was one step away, perhaps.
Does he have the vision of a running back? I know this is a running offense, and you say, well, he's a quarterback, but he has the vision. It was a hole, and he saw it. He was getting ready to change gears and get to the end zone. That was a saving tackle.
Well, Frank Solich was saying yesterday, either Crouch or Newcomb would make great eye backs.
I wouldn't mind seeing Newcomb back there, dotting that I.
I imagine he wouldn't mind dotting that I either. A few more touches. Buckhalter, and a good job that time by 91 Chris Tyler, the sophomore from Killeen, Texas.
The one thing about Bobby Newcomb is he's only 6 foot, 195 pounds. And the one thing that Frank Solich said yesterday was the fact that he didn't know if he could take the pounding from that I-back spot all year long, being in the Big 12 conference, because this is a tough defensive conference.
Yeah, it's a run conference, though your alma mater is trying to change that a little bit, huh?
You know, I wish I had the opportunity to play tight end down there right now.
You add up all the catches you had in 4 years, you get it in 4 games. Dwayne Levels knocked him down at the 16-yard line. But the thing about Crouch you got to respect is he's a physical runner. Remember that run against Iowa where he knocked the guy over at the 7-yard line?
Well, the one thing Crouch is that he's not scared of anybody. He runs his counter option up here, and he knows where he wants to get. He's trying to get to the sticks, and you don't find a 6'1", 195-pound quarterback that wants to throw his shoulder in there to get to the quarterback. Get to the first down.
Well, he was about a yard shy, but Frank Solich will go. Bobby Newcomb brought the play in, and Newcomb comes to the near side. Crouch keeps. Crouch has a first down. Great read.
I'm going to tell you something. He does a great job. When you see him come down the line, he comes down the line and he plants and he heads north and south real hard and real fast. You look at him as he comes down the line of scrimmage, and now he sees a little hole and he takes that plant right there and make Knowles miss him. Knowles had a clear tackle, but the way that he had the ability to plant and turn north and south, and that's the reason why he had a positive play.
1st and 10 from the 13. And good defense this time.
You know, I was wondering earlier in the game why they weren't getting out there to the pitch relation. The offensive line of Nebraska has been doing a terrific job of cutting people down. That's why they're not getting there. Guys who would normally get there and make plays, they're doing a great job of a scoop blocking and getting there and cutting people down. And Buckhalter has been one of the guys who's benefiting from this most of all, because when you see Krause get to the corner and the last guy takes him, man, Buckhalter is running into the end zone untouched. I probably could score.
You looked pretty good yesterday running around. Option pass, Crouch, got a man, touchdown, it's Wistrom. Wistrom having a big day. 3rd catch. Second touchdown of the year for the sophomore from Webb City, Missouri.
You know, he's majoring in secondary education and mathematics.
Josh Brown makes it 31-0.
And he's a guy that, you say, you're not going to be a teacher after you finish at Nebraska. You got a date with the NFL. He does a great job, but what sets this play up is the play fake of Crouch. He does a great job, then he bags up, and he runs a great route. You don't see it, but at the top of this route, he gives a great move, and he's wide open. He has the ability to run, and he catches the touchdown. He's their go-to receiver. When you look at the Bates, what he does, he's a great blocker, but he's their go-to receiver at tight end.
Well, his brother Grant won the Lombardi Award here, now plays for the St. Louis Rams. Both, as you mentioned, outstanding students.
That speaks a lot for the university. When you see brothers coming after brother, that says that you have a great institution and a great coaching staff. That's what that says, because sometimes you have somebody who's done one of your brothers wrong and you don't want to go there. But you see a lot of that at Nebraska.
Yeah, it's really amazing how many brothers have followed in the footsteps of older siblings. Jamal Fobbs, 7 yards deep, will put a knee down. 31-0. Nebraska with 1:10 to play in the first half. Eric Crouch has run that offense to perfection. And, this year Nebraska's had 2 big days on the ground against Iowa and Missouri last week, and 2 days that they kind of sputtered offensively against Cal and Southern Miss. And obviously those 2 schools had something to do with that. But Nebraska looks like they're starting to get it in gear offensively.
Well, I think they were a team trying to find themselves. You really don't have a home run back, but you got 2 sturdy pounding backs. And I think they're starting to find out where they fit in.
Bowling remains at quarterback. They give to Nathan Simmons. And he gets about a yard or two. Chris Kelsey with the tackle. Brian Shaw also around there, 46. Let's take a look. We have a flag, but we'll sort that out in a moment. Let's check out our national car rental game summary thus far. It'll be a motion penalty.
Illegal shift on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
1st and 15. Here is our national car rental game summary. Oklahoma State did a great job to start the game. 3 and out for Nebraska. They get the football at midfield. Great field position. But on the first play, just a fumbled exchange between B.J. Tiger and Nathan Simmons, and then Nebraska got on a roll. Bowling trying to get it on the fade route to Howell, but good coverage there.
You know, the guy that's covering is Ralph Brown. If you're going to pick on any guy, I know Keel Craver is a great cover guy. He has a lot of athletic ability, but Ralph Brown is not the guy. You know, he's the All-American candidate. He's a guy that does a great job on the bump and run. And when you see the halftime special, he was the one that was demonstrating how you get a jam, and he used it out there just then.
He's another guy that's going to continue his career when he's done in Lincoln. Here's a delay. Steve Warren will be the last to get up. 91 also in there is Lauren Kaiser, as Nathan Simmons has not found a lot of room to run. Last year, 116 yards against Nebraska. In fact, Nebraska had more yards in total offense and plenty more time in possession, in time of possession against the Huskers. But in the end, it was the Huskers with 7 more points.
Yeah, you know, that they always talk about you want the time of possession, you want the yardage, and Oklahoma State did a great job of that last year, but it really counts at the end of the game when you look at the scoreboard, and they are looking at the scoreboard, so they've got to start pressing right now a little bit. They've got to get the ball to guys like Marcellus Rivers. They've got to try to get the ball to Ethan Howell. I feel sorry for Ethan Howell. This is the second time in a row against Mississippi State. He played against the All-American candidate and Robert Bean. Now he's playing against Ralph Brown. You know, he's went up against the tough competitors, and it's not fair that he doesn't have his main quarterback, Tony Lindsay.
There's Bob Simmons, and there is the aforementioned Tony Lindsay. Tony's getting better. He was out throwing earlier this week, but the arm isn't the problem. It's the knee, and Tony's not just a pure drop-back quarterback. Tony's a guy that's got to move, so that knee's got to be at least 90% before he can be back in there. They think maybe late October. Third and 13. Bolin just eaten up. He never had a chance. Julius Jackson came off the edge. He's becoming a big playmaker.
You know, there's certain people that you can run shuffle passes against, and there's certain people you can't. I think Ben Bolin was going back for a shovel pass right here, but he didn't realize the speed of these linebackers in Nebraska, and Julius Jackson just exploded. He's got Nathan Smith coming up underneath, but Julius Jackson gets there before the play can even start.
Nebraska called a timeout because they want to force the punt with 27 seconds left. They might come after another one. Reminder coming up at halftime with Sonic. America's Drive-In halftime report with Jim Knox. We'll check some scores from around the Big 12 and we get another tip, as we talked about, from Keith Jackson.
Hey, I only know a couple of things about the game. That's everything, I guess, Drew. But when you look at a guy like Crouch and then you look at the flip side, you look at Ben Bolin, who's having a tough time. Ron Calcaglia told us a great story about him being in the movie theater before Tony Lindsay get hurt, and Ben Bolin came in and tapped him on his back and said, "Coach, I want to play." Well, you get an opportunity to play, but you might be playing against the wrong team at the wrong time.
It's not a lot of fun to come to Lincoln, Nebraska if you're an opponent. Only 3 teams have won here in the last 11 years. Here's the Heat. And Elder gets it away. Barely. The field position will be outstanding. And Oklahoma State downs it at the 35. 12 seconds left. So maybe a play and a field goal attempt is probably what's on the mind of Frank Solich, who doubles as the head coach and offensive coordinator.
That was a great call. That was a great call that time to get set up position. He figured he can get some more points before going in at halftime. And if you're looking for an offensive coordinator, you better look at the head coach, because there's not one. He's the guy who's going to call all the plays.
On it just 24 yards. There's a quick throw, and Applegate will get it to the 21, and they'll call timeout with 3 seconds to play. No, they don't have any. Let me correct something. They're out of timeouts. I thought they had one left. But on the reset, there's the spike, and there's 1 second. We thought Nebraska had 1 timeout left. They were out of them. But Crouch executes it. One of the benefits of college football is the clock stops after every first down.
Then you have the whole kill play. They used to, a long time ago, they used to take the ball and they used to throw it out of bounds. Now they're just taking it, throw it forward into the ground, and that's what he did to stop the clock then, so they have a chance to kick the field goal.
Frankie London will hold. It'll be straight on from 39 yards away, and Josh Brown is a perfect 3 of 3 this year. Needs to draw. Boink. It hit the upright. So Nebraska will have to be content with a 31-0 lead. They've done everything right in the first half. Crouch has had a big day offensively. Now, the only thing that hasn't gone their way has been this 39-yard attempt. The reaction of Frank Solich on the missed kick. Coaches want all the points they can get. 31-0 at the break in front of another sellout in Lincoln. It's been all Huskers. Cool from my blood.
A little cool for my blood also. I spent a couple years up there in Green Bay, Wisconsin, but I've got acclimated to that southern weather all over again.
Yeah, you think it's time to put the heater on when it dips below 80. Dan Haydenfeld will kick it deep to either Jamal Fobbs or Terrence Richardson. Also Marcus Jones back deep. Jones closest to you, 31-0. Oklahoma State has a whole lot of work to do. This is Fobbs from the 2. Over the years, Nebraska has been so prolific offensively and outstanding on defense. What has often been lost has been the special teams play. They are always terrific in the kicking game. B.J. Tiger started the game. You can tell he's fired up. Most of the second quarter, Ben Bowling took the snaps, but B.J. Tiger will begin here in the third quarter. You're Bob Simmons. What do you tell your team down 31-0 at halftime?
Well, you tell your team, hey, we need to rally. We need to try to come back, and if we don't come back and win the game, let's do some positive things to take into the next game next week.
Fobbs lines up in the eye. Kevin Brown is the fullback. And they give it to Fobbs, and Fobbs has a big opening. Fobbs caught from behind at the 50-yard line easily. The biggest play offensively for Oklahoma State today. Keel Craver got him from behind.
This offensive line started playing great going into halftime. They just opened up a nice hole, and it's all the speed of Jamal Fobbs to get through the hole in the first downfield, and that's some great catch-up speed by Keel Craver there.
Now Brown gets that big body moving through, and he'll get 6 yards. Tony Ortiz, Carlos Polk make the tackle. Our halftime numbers, look at this, passing yards. Oklahoma State was 0 for 5. They didn't have any. And in terms of rushing, they were limited to 45 yards. They wanted to come in, Keith, and run the football. That hasn't happened.
They wanted to win the time of possession, and that would keep them in the game, but they're behind right now.
Had 2 good runs to start the third quarter, and Jamal Fobbs lowers his pad level and gets to about the 41-yard line. He's going to be about a yard or so shy of where he needs to get.
When you have great programs, Drew, and you go in at halftime of games and you get in the locker room, the coaches most of the time do not have to say anything. It's the players that are around. Bob Simmons will look at them, and the leaders on his team will say, hey, we've got to go out there and we've got to quit embarrassing ourselves, and we've got to put some points on the board.
Third and a long one. Counter to Fobbs. He gets a good block. Now he's run out of room. There again, Ralph Brown, both corners. Nebraska just runs so well that when you think you have an opening, a lot of times you don't.
You know, this Nebraska defense that has speed. You're talking about 2 great defenses, but when you watch Nebraska, they go Julius Jackson, he strings it out. You got Keough Craver, who's done a great job of coming up and tackling, and it looks like it's big holes there. There's going to be big plays, but they don't get there, and they do a great job of tackling in that secondary of Nebraska.
Oklahoma State will punt. Craver's back at his own 10.
Dead ball. False start on the offense. Remains 4th down.
Oklahoma State came out, got the big run from Fobbs, got a deep. This is another short punt by Elder off the side of his foot. It's down at the 20-yard line. Punt just 27 yards. His last one went 24 yards. Eric Crouch had a big first half. He'll lead Nebraska back onto the field. You can see his confidence growing with each start he gets.
He's throwing the ball pretty well. When you look 6 of 11, he probably still have a nice quarterback rating so far in the game for 109 yards. He's doing a great job there. But I bet you the coach told him at halftime, you keep doing what you're doing. If you see something you want to throw the ball, go ahead and audible and make it happen.
Willie Miller breaks a tackle for a moment and then gets just a couple of yards. He'll start in the backfield with Dan Alexander.
That Willie Miller is a load. You never see that first guy just bring him down to the ground, and that's the way you want your fullback to be, and that's the way the fullbacks have been here in Nebraska. They've had the ability to run the ball, and also they're great blockers, and he's just one of those.
.4 in the classroom, communications major. And Bobby Newcomb back onto the field. Here's Crouch keeping. And he gets a couple of yards, and then a flag comes in late.
Looks like that Oklahoma State's a little frustrated right now. I can see one of the guys holding their arms up in the air like, I didn't do it. And usually that means that they took a swing at somebody.
Terry Turlington will let us know.
Dead ball. Personal foul on the defense. 15-yard penalty. That's an automatic first down.
Well, Rob Ryan's a fiery guy, and he knows that to play defense, you have to play on the edge.
Well, you know, he's probably not too upset about that. He's probably going to the sideline and say, you should have done it a lot earlier. You guys are not playing as aggressive. That came out of that family, that Ryan family. They love to be aggressive. They get a 15-yard penalty. That's part of the game.
Yeah, not always a bad thing, huh?
No.
Crouch on a throwback. He's got Wistrom again. Another big play for Tracy Wistrom, his 4th catch of the afternoon.
When you have have a great running game. When you have a terrific running game and you run the ball inside, outside well, then the thing that you can do is you can run play-action passes. And here's a play-action pass. He has the ability to look back across and throws back to his big tight end, Wistrom, who takes the ball downfield, breaks a tackle. He took 170 yards last year, so he has the ability to get in the open field and make some plays happen.
He took that one 36 yards. Crouch with a flag down, gets about 13 to the 11. But a flag came in at the 20.
And usually when a flag's that far downfield, somebody was holding on a little bit too much, had a little cough. But that was a great run by Crouch, but it was a great open hold. The offensive line is doing a great job. I tell you what, the fullback is doing a great job.
That's illegal participation against Oklahoma State. They might have 12 men on the field. And it might have been Flowers. I think he was trying to get off the field.
On the defense, the penalty is declined. First down.
Well, today you need 12 people to stop this Nebraska offense.
And if Rob Ryan could keep 12 guys on the field, he'd go for that.
Coach Simmons is not happy about that. You know, that's one of those mistakes you just don't make. You don't have 12 guys on the field. You don't that physical mistake.
Bob Simmons, Oklahoma State had such high hopes for this year, and obviously the season's still very young. Well, they lost Tony Lindsay. That hurt. They had 18 senior starters to begin the campaign. This is Miller. He's still chugging away. Oh, the crowd will love this run.
That is vintage Nebraska football. Hard-nosed, running up in the middle, pow driving. And, you know, when you see plays like that, it wasn't a big play. He didn't get a whole bunch of yards. It was the effort. And you know what? Nebraska fans love great effort. I think he got hit harder by his own offensive lineman than he did the guys from Oklahoma State. And he's still driving, trying to get the extra yards. And that's what Nebraska fans love. They love the heart of great players.
Charlie McBride, the longtime defensive coordinator, says at Nebraska, we win with work ethic. That's what we're all about. Here's the pitch. Touchdown, Nebraska, Dan Alexander. His third rushing touchdown of the year. One of the big men is down. That's 69. It's Adam Jolch. That's a good sign. Jolch is getting up. And when I say big man, emphasize big, 6'5" and 320.
You know, he was hustling out there to get an extra block. I think he got his first block, and he was hustling over to get an extra block because he wants to get downfield and make something happen. You know, when you look at Adam Jolch, he's a guy who speaks for the DARE program, drug awareness program, and he's a guy as big as he is, 6'5", 320. He tells me not to do drugs. I'm not going to do them.
You bet. Josh Brown, extra point. It is 38-0, Nebraska, with 9:44 to go in the third quarter. Dan Alexander gets in the end zone, his third rushing touchdown of the year. Nebraska extends their lead to 38-0. Haydenfeld kicks it out of the end zone. So Oklahoma State will have it at the 20-yard line. Here's the touchdown again by Alexander.
It all starts with the quarterback, of course, and he comes down making a great block. You got the receivers out there making great blocks, and then when you get Dan Alexander at 245-pound shoulder upfield and you only got 2 yards to get to the end zone, there's no stopping.
Tom Beveridge did a good job blocking the corner. There's our Buick scoring drive, 6 plays, 80 yards. The big play, another hookup between Eric Crouch and Tracy Wistrom. Here's Jamal Fobbs for a yard or two. Now, if you're an Oklahoma Oklahoma State fan tuning in, you're saying, hey, we're down 38-0. How come we're not throwing the football?
Well, the one thing that Bob Simmons wanted to do is he wanted to make sure that he could run the ball and get physical. Those guys hadn't been doing that. He's sending them a message also. He said, we're going to get physical today. We may not win this game, but we're going to get physical today. We're going to run the ball inside.
And also, you can't get completely out of character. And throwing the ball 40 times, even with Tony Lindsay healthy, is not what Oklahoma State wants to do. And they still are without a pass completion today. Ethan Howell on the outcut, the intended target. It'll be 3rd down and 9. The Cowboy possessions. That's a whole lot of punting for Scott Elder.
It's not a great thing to see if you're the offensive coordinator and you're the head coach of this team, because you thought that you could do some of the things that you did last year to stay in the game.
Three-step drop, slant, complete, 1st down yardage. It's Jamal Fobbs who lined up in the slot.
Now that secondary, Nebraska does a great job of covering, but the best cover guys are outside. What they do is they go in the slot, and you got Mike Brown covering, and he's a safety. So you got him on Richardson, who's an outstanding punt returner, and he gets the ball in the open field. He's dangerous. I wouldn't mind seeing them get the ball to Richardson a lot more.
The first completion of the day. Tiger on a scramble. And flags will fly after that. Brown got involved with Josh Lynn.
And Josh Lynn is he's trying to be aggressive. He probably got that pep talk at halftime. We want you to go out there. We want you to make some plays. Offensive lineman, you're not doing your job. You get those kind of talks, and you want to go out there and do a great job.
Here's Tiger, and the flag's going to come in at the end of the play, Keith.
Well, you thought they would call Josh Lynn for getting there late hitting, but they called a holding call.
Personal foul on the offense, 15-yard penalty, and a 2nd down.
So they had to measure because it was and then marked from the point of infraction. So they marked the 15 off, and it remains 2nd down from the 41-yard line of Oklahoma State. So even when they do something right, they end up hurting themselves.
Well, I don't know so much they did something right, Drew, because it looked like it was a busted play from the beginning, and B.J. Tiger did a great job of just taking off and using his feet.
Jackson shows blitz. They bring 4. Tiger will run again. Tackle. That'll set up 3rd down at about the 6. B.J. Tiger's quite an athlete.
That's that old quarterback draw. They drop him back, make it look like he's throwing a pass, and then what he's going to do is find an open hole and take off and run. And this is the one thing that he really can do, is run with the football. And he has that ball tucked in. He made a promise that he wasn't going to fumble again this year.
Well, he carried that football to class. He carried it when he stretched. Whatever he did, the last 2 weeks he had a football in his hands, literally. BJ, short drop, slant is caught, and it'll be enough for a 1st down. This time it's Terrence Richardson. That was a good throw.
I tell you what, that was great coverage by Ralph Brown, too. What happens is Richardson has to push him up a little bit. You don't mind getting your ball in the hands of great players like this, but that was a tight throw and an outstanding catch by Richardson right there.
B.J. Tigers, you look at Richardson, and there's B.J. He played hoop for Eddie Sutton in '97.
Well, he probably can elevate. You know, he wouldn't mind being a defensive back also.
He played defensive back most of last year. Here's the reverse. Richardson gets a block. Yard line. Good block by Jeff Machado.
We talked about that Juice get the ball in Richardson's hand, and they did. They finding some ways to get the ball in their playmaker's hand, and he takes this ball around the corner with an impressive run and a great block out there. But what's more impressive is Shaw is doing a great job of running down. It looked like that was going to the end zone, and you got Shaw, who weighing 220 pounds, who runs down the guy. But Machado did a great job of blocking out in open field.
First and goal, give it to Brown, and he is stood up. Tony Ortiz, number 37, the Sam linebacker, originally from the South Bronx, grew up in Westbury, Connecticut, came a long way to play his college football.
Tell you what, I bet they took that personally the last time. When you look at Tony Ortiz, he's been doing a great job, but they took that play personally. They don't want any positive yards. They want to go come out of this game and be the #1 defense in the nation, and they've been doing a great job so far.
They lost a yard on that play. We've called his name all day.
When you have a tight end like Marcellus Rivers, and you think about a tight end they had here named Alonzo Mays, you think you would get the ball in his hand a lot more because he creates mismatch for you, and that's why you want to get him the ball. He's a big target at 6'4" and 235 pounds. He's able to go up and get that ball, and that's why he came down with the touchdown on that one, Drew.
Tim Sidness will attempt the extra point. But he got it through. So the Cowboys are on the board, but they trail 38-7. For Rivers, his third touchdown of the year. We're usually around the top of the country in women's volleyball. This one's going to get past Joe Walker, get in the end zone. So Nebraska will have it at the 20-yard line. Here's the touchdown again to Marcellus Rivers.
You know, Marcellus Rivers is a great tight end. But the one thing that he can do is he can jump. He can go up and get ball. But when you have a mismatch between him and Ralph Brown out there, Ralph doesn't have a chance. He's arguably one of the best cover corners in the nation, but he doesn't out. That's just playing old-fashioned basketball and get the rebound.
So Oklahoma State, the Buick scoring drive, 88 yards. Crouch in trouble. Flag comes in, and Crouch is still going. How about that run? He avoided the sack. He also avoided the strip of the football and made something positive happen, but hold everything.
Well, that's the way Rob Ryan teaches. If you can go after that ball and make a positive play, go after the ball. So he did, but they didn't know that Crouch was so strong. He just pulled away from that and took off running.
It's going to come back. There's Dominic Raiola, the center.
Well, they do a good job of getting in there, and Dominic Raiola got a handful of jersey right there. You can see it right there. He has a handful of jersey. He just let him go. And then Crouch does a great job of just avoiding the sack and taking off running. Boy, that is strong. That is strong. Then a little nifty move. He shows that he could be a tailback, and then he drops the hammer when he turns that corner.
Robbie Gillum came on a safety blitz. Thought he had the sack. He's also had the presence of mind. He was trying to strip the football, but he ended up with neither. Oh, man, what a hit. Gets out to the 17-yard line. Crouch got blown up. Robbie Gillum was there defensively.
You know, that's the worst thing about the option is that all is fair in that war. So when Crouch comes down the line, he's available being hit. You can't say it was a late hit on the quarterback, so you can take your hit right there. But he gets the ball out, pitch relations, and the running back gets a positive gain upfield. But he took a punishment for it.
Yeah, that time Gillum made sure he wrapped him up. 2nd and 13. And Crouch will get out of bounds after about 5.
You know, the great thing is at halftime, what you can do is you can go into the locker room and say, defense, this is the game plan, this is what we're doing wrong. And then you can come out the second half and do a better job of defending the option. They're doing a better job this half of defending the option because they had a chance to go over and evaluate what they were doing wrong at halftime.
That helps. There's Matt Davison. You know, he's caught a pass in 20 straight. Doesn't have a reception yet today. That's knocked down, and they were trying to get it to Davison, and Nebraska will be forced to punt.
It's great to have those guys that are 6'5" because they can get their arms up in the passing lane, and that's what happened on that play with Kevin Williams.
Terrence Richardson back at his own 35-yard line. The nation's #2 punter, Dan Haydenfeld, came in averaging better than 48 yards a boot. Oh, this one, he got off the side of his foot. Takes a good hop for him, out of bounds at the 39-yard line. That's where Oklahoma State will have it when we return. Left in the third quarter, 38-7, Huskers. Let's take a look at our Citgo You Know Me. I hold the Nebraska records for most offensive attempts in a game and most yards in terms of punt return yardage in a season. Who am I? We'll let you know in a little bit. Tiger trying to hook up with Fobbs, and the free safety Clint Finley had the coverage. This black shirt defense is tremendous. For good defensive tackles for Charlie McBride. Kaiser, Warren, Jason Lohr, who's not playing today because he has a bursa sack problem in his knee, and Jeremy Schlechter. Actually, Lohr is in there. Simmons on the delay gets 8. Lohr wasn't scheduled to play, but he is in there playing. They like his ability. And the defensive rankings look coming into this football game. The Cowboys and the Huskers were 3 and 4 in the country.
That is strong, but coming out of this game, there's going to be some change of who's top dog because Nebraska's been playing well, but when you look at Oklahoma State, they've had a difficult time with that option of Nebraska.
Nebraska said they were motivated by those numbers coming in. Here's Simmons. He'll be very close to a first down. Julius Jackson there defensively, number 50. Charlie McBride was telling us yesterday, said, I didn't have to remind my kids this week that they were one notch ahead of us in the national rankings defensively.
And you know, one thing about it is that the offense got a little offended about that too. You see it out here today. You're saying, wait a minute, these guys think they're good. They're going to have to stop us. And you know, they practice one-on-one. Charlie McBride said they practice on at Nebraska. Then when you get up against Oklahoma State, their defense doesn't seem as tough as they really are.
Yeah, a lot of schools won't do that, but about 12 snaps a week on Wednesday, the first team O will take on the first team D. And Charlie kind of chuckled yesterday, says, you know, we can't go any more than 12 because it can get ugly. Guys start getting real physical.
And he also said they lose sometime. So, you know, that's saying that the offensive linemen of Nebraska do a great job.
And the Cowboys have been held to 186 yards thus far by the black shirts. Tiger all kinds of time. Jeremy Schlechter gets him from behind. That's pretty good when you have a 290-pound defensive tackle chasing down an athlete like Tiger.
I tell you what, Tiger tucked that ball. The one thing that Tiger will do is he will tuck the ball and run. He only has 1 interception this year, and that reason why is because he won't throw the ball in double coverage or throw the ball when he feels like he doesn't have the advantage.
Richardson to the top. 2nd and 7. blitz coming. They have a screen set up, and Simmons.
I tell you, one guy was coming on that play. You hadn't heard his name for his turnovers today. That's Julius Jackson. He's done a terrific job. But when you look at Tiger, Tiger's trying to drop back. He's trying to draw the defense to him. And so Julius Jackson was the guy who got upfield, but he got grabbed a little bit. He complained to the referee. All Tiger's trying to do is trying to get back. They're trying to set up a string, so he got to wait. But you know what? Julius Jackson get there so fast, he rushes the throw.
The amazing thing about Jackson is he has one career start. He usually plays behind Eric Johnson, who has a knee injury. Tiger on the slant route, and it is behind Jamal Fobbs. Clint Finley had the coverage in Oklahoma State. We'll have to punt the football.
Jamal Fobbs called 8 passes last week. It was a couple of weeks ago against Mississippi State. They want to isolate and get him the ball, especially when you have 2 receivers. You take and you shift him out. What that means is they got to cover him man-to-man with like a strong safety.
Walker and Newcomb go back. It's a good punt by Elder. Punt of 48 yards, but a net of just 28. And the you-know-me question again. I hold his Bobby Newcomb, who was a true freshman 2 years ago, was a dynamic player. And last year he battled through all sorts of injuries. Primarily his knee, had surgery after the season.
The one thing about Bobby Newcomb is I believe that Bobby Newcomb helped the team. He made this a better team, but the one thing he did is he helped himself. I think that he has an opportunity to go to play in the NFL at the position that he's playing right now at wingback or wide receiver and be able to catch the ball and make big plays.
Terrell Buckhalter will get about 3 or 4 yards.
You know, the game sounds physical when you have Buckhalter and you have Alexander running up in there. You can just hear the pops. It's just like shoulder pads, like plack, plack, plack.
You know, now that D'Angelo Evans has quit the football team, the one thing Nebraska does not have at I-back is one of those real nifty guys that they seemingly have always had. They got a lot of guys that'll fudge you, and a quarterback that can make you miss in Eric Crouch. He's out to the 36-yard line. And they'll move the chains again for the Huskers.
I had an opportunity to see one of those backs last night, a guy by the name of Mike Rozier. I said, Mike, but if you were back there in the I-back and you were dotting it, you could take it to the house too. And boy, it'd be nice to see a great quarterback and a speedy receiver. I mean, a speedy quarterback and a speedy running back in the same backfield.
Fullback Willie Miller. He'll get about 3 yards. You know who's in it? Left guard for Nebraska, the true freshman from Hawaii, Toniu Fanoti, who is 6'4" and 330 pounds. There he is. You know what? He won't be 18 until the Colorado game. He's 17. He might still be growing.
We told Coach Frank Solich said he has some more weight to gain, and Coach Frank said, I hope not.
Crouch to Buckhalter. And he gets to about the 41-yard line. Evan Howell, 28, came up and made the play. You know, the pipeline at Nebraska, generally, you don't see the field until at the very earliest your junior year. Here's a guy who's a true freshman getting to play.
You know, it's hard to play as a true freshman, but when you're talented, they want to get you in the game. And what this does is down the line, if one of the offensive linemen go down, they have a guy with a
down in 4. Cuts back, and he is cut down a yard short of the first down. Raymond Cato made the tackle. And Nebraska will kick it away. Our eFollet.com lineman profile of the week, center Dominic Raiola. And he started last year as a freshman. First time that happened since the early 90s. He leads the team in pancakes. We got a definition for pancakes, didn't we, yesterday?
Yeah, we did. That's it. When you get decleated, you have to be on your back, and all 4 of your limbs have to be up in the air, and that's a pancake.
Terrence Richardson from the 12. Richardson with a seam. Great job by Dan Haydenfeld. The flag comes in, but Haydenfeld, the punter, made the open field tackle after the long return by Richardson. And they told us that Haydenfeld isn't just a punter. He's a good enough athlete that he could actually play a position.
That's what Coach Solich said yesterday. He said, you know what? I've been thinking about what...
Against maybe 12 guys.
On the kicking team, penalty is declined. First down, Oklahoma State.
Punt of 43 yards. Richardson brought it back 39. The Huskers firmly in control, 38-7. Drew Goodman, Keith Jackson, and Jim Knox. And speaking of Jim Knox, let's check in with Jim.
All right, hey, Drew, checking out Willie Miller on the bench. Right now they're working on his ankle. He said he heard it pop. Doesn't seem to be serious. He could go back in, but why not? They're leading by only 36 points. Also, Sonny Miller over here very concerned about Willie, but he should be all right.
Tiger deep throw, and he was behind Ethan Howell. Almost looked like Howell. He thought Howell was going to run a corner route, and Howell took it toward the post.
Yeah, you thought he was going to run a fade and go on the outside of him, and he actually went on the inside, and sometimes that happens.
Let's take a look at the Cowboys game plan and check their report card thus far.
Well, the one thing they couldn't do is hurt themselves, and they got 7 penalties. But they should have. They helped themselves in the turnover category. They have not won the possession.
Before the snap, it's going to push them back 5 yards.
Before the snap, false start on the offense, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
When you look at the time possession, it's close, but they're not winning the touchdown battle. And you know what? When you have to force Crouch to throw, he's done a pretty good job so far of throwing the ball, but he's done an effective job running, and that's what you want to stop him from doing, is running the ball today.
Yeah, Keith, he has 61 yards on the ground and a touchdown, 5.5 yards he carried, and 7 of 13 and another touchdown in the air. So he's been effective both ways. B.J. Tiger, 2nd and 15. Into Aaron Wills. Well, the Huskers game plan, I imagine they'll get a lot of high grades.
Well, when you look at the running backs, you got 2 touchdowns out of them. That is great. And you know what, Rebel Youngbuck, when you go 0 for 5 in the first half, that's doing your job. And you know what, the turnover margin is not that great with a block punt, but that's okay. When you have 38 points on the board, you're not really worried about that turnover margin right now.
A dozen.
Well, you got BJ. He takes his drop. It's a 3-step drop, and then he plants and he follows through and he throws the ball. He's kind of delayed, but the one thing he did, it was a good enough pass to be caught right there, and it would have been a first down. A young guy like that needs the guys around him to start making plays for him so he can get a lot more confidence.
9th punt of the day for Scott Elder. Walker and Newcomb back deep. Walker just doesn't believe in a fair catch, does he? You got to admire his courage. And a flag, several thrown right where he caught it. You wonder if they got too close to him. Turlington listening intently. I guess this isn't cut and dried, huh?
And into them when he being Walker when he was trying to catch the ball. So the reason why they invaded his space, I guess they're trying to figure out what happened there.
And you love to see this. I know fans don't love to see it because it takes too much time. But you want ultimately the call to be right. So you want all the input you can get and then sort it out. And that is exactly what Terry Turlington, who's a veteran referee, is doing right now.
They used to just make the call. If the guy made the call, that's what it was. But now they allowed officials to come in and to help the other official out to make the correct call.
You know, you mentioned something earlier today, and you played here on a couple of occasions, that these fans are great fans, and they are for many reasons. They come out no matter what the weather conditions are. Let's see if we can pick up, we'll come back to that thought in a moment. Let's try to pick that up.
When you have a punt, and then you think with the ball being that high, taking that time and hang time, you probably think that he's going to make a fair catch, but he doesn't. And they're waiting for him to catch the ball, but they're standing around, but the ball falls a little short. And when you look at Walker, he comes up into them.
Now they'll get it straight. Here we go.
Personal foul on the receiving team. Holding on the offensive team. A buffer zone violation. We will go to the end of the kick. Nebraska will be penalized half the distance to the goal. First down.
No wonder that took a while. That was a whole lot of stuff happening on one punt.
We thought it was just one play. It was a lot of stuff going on there, but they got it worked out.
Just to pick up the thought about the Nebraska fans is that not only do they come out no matter what the weather conditions are, but they are extremely knowledgeable and very respectful of the opposition. They've had a lot to cheer about today. "14 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Frank Solich's team leading 38-7. They're trying to get to 5-0. There's one goal every year in Lincoln, Nebraska. That's to win a conference championship and a national championship. That's why, though 9-4 is an outstanding record in most places, there were some that were disappointed a year ago because the 4 losses were the most they'd had in a long time.
And you know, there's a lot of teams around the nation that will take 9 wins any day of the week.
Well-publicized departure from the program of D'Angelo Evans, the quarterback controversy, if you will, earlier in the season. Nebraska, when they take the football field, puts it all behind them, don't they?
Well, this is a machine, and you know, you read some things about it, and they're going to keep clicking no matter what happened. And that D'Angelo Evans thing, I like the fact where I read where the players made a decision, and they felt that he left them, not the team, so players can make a decision like that.
Well, here are the 98 losses. They lost on the road to Texas A&M. No shame in that. They finished 11th in the country. Texas was the first unranked team to beat Nebraska here in the last 11 years, but they finished the season 15th. And hey, they had the Heisman Trophy winner, maybe the greatest back in college football history. And then they lost to Kansas State, who some thought would win a national championship last year, including myself. And then they lost in the Holiday Bowl to Arizona. So they lost to 4 very good teams. Evidently, what has happened is that Terry Turlington has gone to the sideline, and you saw him get off the phone there. They may be rethinking the ruling that we just heard prior to the break.
Get it right. You want to get it right because it's important for both teams. Even though it's taking a little time to get it right, you want to get the right call.
And now Terry's making his way to the far side of the field. I think he wants to let Frank Solich know exactly what will transpire. We might punt this thing again.
Nebraska has elected to take an offsetting foul rather than take the football. It will be 4th and 12. Oklahoma State's ball.
Well, we'll do it all over again. What you saw earlier never happened.
When you have a dangerous kicker, punt returner like Joe Walker, you might have want to try that over again just to see if he can get the ball and make something happen.
This is a much shorter punt by Elder. He did not hit it well. It does take a Cowboy bounce, and it rolls to about the 15-yard line. Here's the upcoming schedule for the Huskers. One of the interesting things is that the next two teams, Iowa State and Texas, both have an extra week to prepare for Nebraska and Ames.
That game on the 13th, November 13th against Kansas State will be the game that I would love to be in the stands and watch. That's going to be a revenge game. Coaches always talking about there's no such thing as a revenge. You just watch.
Coaches may say it, players know better, right? Jeff Perino's in at quarterback. And Oklahoma State claiming that Nebraska moved.
Encroachment on the defense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
I guess not. So a free 5 yards for the Huskers.
Truly, Raiola should know how to just flinch his wrist a little bit yet. He hadn't learned that trick of the trade of drawing a defensive lineman off sides. And if he has, boy, that's a smart move.
Perino's waited his turn. 6'2", 210-pounder from the beautiful town of Durango, Colorado. And the fullback, Tyrone Euler, gets a few, 35. He's a redshirt freshman from Battle Creek, Nebraska. Talk about a guy in Perino that has battled and battled to get on the field. He missed 1997 to 1998. In fact, at one point in 1998, he was a student assistant coach. But he's persevered, and he said, I want to keep playing. And he's getting his opportunity. He played last week against Missouri. And finally has to throw it out of bounds.
You know, that's a great job by Perino. A lot of quarterbacks won't do that. They try to escape. But if you're going to be tackled, just throw the ball away out of bounds, and let's try it over again.
Eric Crouch, I would imagine, probably done. What a good guy. We got a chance to visit with him for a while yesterday. Bright, mature, and very talented. Perino able to extract himself from the grasp of Jaquay Thomas.
I tell you what, he doesn't get the same pitch relations. You can tell when you have a different quarterback in the game. He comes down the line. We right here, if there was Eric Crouch, he would turn up and pitch the ball. They get too close over there.
3rd down and 4. Robbie Gillum, 41, has been pretty active.
Boy, he's a guy that said that I'm just happy to be here. I'm just having a great time. You know, he didn't feel like he should be on the team or have a scholarship.
J.B. Flowers had hobbled off earlier. Gillum's played a lot of football here in the second half. And a timeout on the field with the Nebraska Cornhuskers leading 38-7 over Oklahoma State. Welcome back to Lincoln, Nebraska with Keith Jackson. I'm Drew Goodman. One of the things Nebraska wanted to get accomplished today is play good offensive football games back-to-back. They had a great game against Missouri, and they've done pretty well today against Oklahoma State.
Well, the one thing about it is that defense has been playing well. They've asked the offense to step up. And, you know, offense hadn't had a bad output, but it's just the point that it's not Nebraska output. Nebraska needs to be able to move the ball downfield, score a lot of points, and be able to rush the ball, Drew.
Well, the numbers for Eric Crouch running the football today. 61 yards. He's made so many good decisions. Not only just on the option, but throwing the football as well. Perino, quick pass, and he'll get to the line of scrimmage. That's all. And Oklahoma State will turn Nebraska away. Adam Edwards, Raymond Cato there defensively. I imagine as this season wears on, Frank Solich will come up with more and more creative ways to get number 12, The Rock.
I think there's going to be a Bobby Newcomb package that they're going to have to put in because he's so explosive. He's the guy that's going to make plays for you. And people are going to get used to seeing these old plays, and they're going to call them before they happen. So he's got to put in new stuff from week to week.
Now before the snap, flags flew again.
Dead ball. False start on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
There's a guy who's also more and more comfortable this year. We were talking about Crouch getting comfortable. Frank Solich, I think, is a more comfortable head coach this year. Not that he was uncomfortable a year ago, but you do have a season under your belt. He's got a good football team again to work with. Richardson run out of bounds at the 43-yard line. By Southwestern Bell, friendly neighborhood global. That's the national championship statue outside of Memorial Stadium here in Lincoln, Nebraska. You never know, they better save some room on that plaque.
They're going to have some great teams to come, and it might be one team this year. Somebody is going undefeated in college football this year.
That's your prediction?
Somebody's going undefeated.
There have been a lot of upsets. 1st and 10 for the Cowboys at their own 43. B.J. Tiger on the delay to Fobbs. And Fobbs gets about 8 or 9 before Dion Booker, the younger brother of Michael Booker, who was the #1 pick of the Atlanta Falcons back in '96. He makes the play. There's another brother connection for you.
Yeah, Booker and Booker. If he is successful as his brother, he'd be making a lot of money here very soon.
Jamal again. And Fobbs.
Yeah.
Dragged down from behind by Justin Smith.
You know, you got to start working on some things if you're Oklahoma State. And the one thing is trying to run the ball in the middle of that field, trying to get some positive stuff to take back and look at on film and say, hey, if we would have done this the first half, we would have been successful.
Well, they got a push right now in the second half. It's 7 apiece. Only problem was the first 30 minutes, it was 31-0 Nebraska. Tiger knocked down by the linebackers.
That was
48
Jackson. Looked like Julius Jackson there jumped up and knocked it down.
I think it was
Maybe
Jamie
not.
Burrow, 48.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 48 Burrow.
Well, I'm just so used to seeing Julius Jackson in the right spot all the time. He's been successful. I thought they got his hand on another one. He's a guy that always been around the football. He has a knack of being around the football. You always say guys are like that. They may not be the fastest or the biggest, but they're always around the football, and that's the kind of player he is.
You bet. Reminder, next week we'll be in Boulder, Colorado. The Buffaloes and the Missouri Tigers. Minimal gain there for Jamal Fobbs. You look at the 1990s at the best records in college football. Florida State 101-13-1. Nebraska coming in 115-1. Now Nebraska also won 100 games in the 80s. First team ever to win 100 games in back-to-back decades. That is extraordinary.
And to think about the fans, the support, and all the great coaching and great fan support.
And by the way, in the 70s, they only won 98 games. The play clock had 0 on it, and whistles blew before the snap of the ball, though B.J. Tiger got tackled anyhow.
On the offense, remains 3rd down.
Now in the 90s, look at the point differential. Nebraska has scored 2,715 more points than their opponents, or a difference per game of 23.2 points.
That's what you call blowing a lot of people out. Those are games you don't want to be involved in. I've been involved in some blowouts before in college and in the pros, and you don't like sitting on the other sideline when some team is just racking up points on you.
Tiger fumbled it, picked it up. down and 3, gets a yard.
He just looked like he took his eye off the snap then. He was trying to look downfield, trying to look over there at Howell and see if he was going to get open, and then see the one-on-one coverage, and the snap came in and just hit it.
Actually, I said 3rd and 3. Let me correct that. It was 3rd and 3rd. So Bob Simmons will punt the football. Walker calls a fair catch this time and makes it at the 20-yard line. And there's the flag again. If that's a violation of the halo, that's very difficult for a defensive player in this position, a guy coming down covering the kick, Keith, because they don't know where the football is.
They don't. I mean, they're running down, they're trying to make a tackle, and all of a sudden they see Walker coming toward them, so they know that he's coming to get the ball, and they're trying to move out of the way. They're making an effort. That's a tough call when you're on punting team.
Buffer violation, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Because he was set up right there, and then he all of a sudden sprints forward about 6 yards. Yeah, they're giving him room. They're backing away. Clearly, that's a tough break. Obviously, there's no bearing on the outcome of this game. That's very, very difficult for a guy covering a punt. Marino hands to the fullback. And a couple of tough yards for Dan Alexander. Dan Alexander plays I-back now, but he was recruited as a fullback.
You know what? If you can get Alexander and Buckholter in a game at the same time, then you got both your starting back. It's going to come down to that one day where you want to see them both in there. But the thing that happened is that Willie Miller got at running back.
And Alexander's playing fullback right now. Buckholter's playing the I-back. And Buckholter gets the call, and he runs into Jack Golden. And Golden, the senior from Harvey, Illinois, makes a good tackle.
They have a starter at I-back. I think both of those guys are going to share time all year long. They're going to make plays happen. But if you can put Dan Alexander at that fullback spot every now and then and let him get one of those fullback traps, I tell you, that's going to be a positive game.
3rd and 5. Perino gets maybe a yard. Zach Warner. 97, also Jack Golden around the football. And Nebraska will go 3 and out.
We talked a little bit to Rob Ryan. He said, you know what, I got a great group of linebackers, but I don't care what you say. It is difficult when you have to do without your leader on defense, and that's Kenyatta Wright. He's the guy that made plays for him to happen. And when we talked to Rob was saying, no, everybody can do this. The only difference is that the other guys,
Richardson from the 30, trying to get to the wall. Dion Booker made the tackle at the 36-yard line, a punt of 40, and a return of 6. Here's the upcoming schedule for Oklahoma State. They have Texas Tech next week at home. Then they have a bye week, and then they have Kansas State at home. And then they have to travel to College Station.
I'll tell you what, it doesn't get any easier for them. I mean, they got a lot of tough games. They were a great team last year that lost a lot of close games. They've got to go back and they've got to re-huddle and try to figure out what happened here today.
Ben Bowling in at quarterback. We saw him in the second quarter. And the delay to Fobbs. Mark Vedral with the tackle.
Run down on the play by number 9, Mark Vedral.
Well, I don't think there are any easy games in the Big 12. Bowling in the first half was 0 of 4. Tigers' 3 completions have all come after halftime. Tiger has the 1 touchdown pass to Marcellus Rivers. And that is caught. Ethan Howell had to pick it off his ankles to hang on.
Well, the one thing Bowling wanted to do was get that goose egg off of his completions, and he did that. But he drops back here, and he's looking for his receiver that's going down the seam, and all of a sudden Howell comes underneath. He throws it a little bit low, but he ends up coming up with the grab anyway.
He's going to get a whole lot of experience this year. He's a true freshman. Last year, he was playing at Jenks High School in Jenks, Oklahoma, right outside of Tulsa. Tradition-rich high school program. Here's third down. Bowling, good throw and a good catch right near the sticks. Caught by Howell, fully extended.
That's exactly what I was talking about earlier. You make your quarterbacks comfortable, and the way you make your quarterbacks comfortable, when they drop back and throw a pass, even though it's not right on target, you make a great catch, and Bowling did a great job of standing in the pocket and doing that.
They're going to measure. Bowling's a guy that was recruited by Oklahoma, Kansas State, the University of Miami. He got enough for the first down.
You know, talking to Simmons said these guys have a lot of confidence, and he doesn't want to rattle their confidence. It's just tough when you got to play against a great Nebraska defense like they had the opportunity to play against today. That'll rattle your confidence, but they've got to go back and they've got to get some help with the running game and get some help with some receivers catching some balls and making some big plays.
Bowling runs draw to Fobbs. And Jamal gets to the 50. You came here a couple of times. How tough was it to play here?
Well, it's tough to play here because one thing about it is going to be a little crowd noise. You're going to have that, and they know the right time to make it real loud so you can't hear the plays. They do an outstanding job of that. The other hard thing is they have great athletes here. When I came up here to play, you had guys like Neil Smith and Broderick Thomas playing on defense, Brian Washington. I mean, a great tradition of defensive players, so it's always tough.
Well, the folks up here are just glad that your eligibility is exhausted. Let's go back a few years. Shall we reminisce for a moment, Mr. Jackson?
Oh, don't do me like this.
Jamel Holloway, the quarterback, in 1985, and they're going to run the reverse to the big man. And you know what? If you recall, I know it's a long time ago, but you turn the corner, you go 88 yards.
That game, I can tell you that. But the great tradition here at Nebraska, those guys cheered for me after the game and shook my hand and told me what a great run that was and what a great player I was after the game.
And they told you, why don't you turn pro? Knocked out of bounds after a first down is Cameron White. Pretty good job by Bowling, showing his athletic ability.
The one thing that you've got to appreciate about these Nebraska fans is they love good football. You know, if you come here and you beat them, usually you get people screaming and hollering at you when you leave and getting gestures. But you know what they do? They say, great game, go ahead and win the Orange Bowl. I remember the years we came here, and they've been great fans. I really appreciate the Nebraska fans.
They're the best. Fobbs gets about 5 or 6 yards. The other thing about Nebraska fans is they always stick around. They never leave early. Obviously, this game has been decided for a while, but they hang around throughout. Here's our BMW play of the game. Little play action pass, option pass, and Crouch is going to hit Tracy Wistrom, who had a big day catching the football, the tight end. That's our BMW play. That's the whole reason. Here's Fobbs. And he gets out of bounds after a first down at the 25. Well, if you're Oklahoma State, you always want to search for positives and correct the negatives. That's what Bob Simmons, I imagine, will do this week.
Well, the one thing you did is you had some penalties, but you didn't fumble the ball. You started looking at turnovers. You took care of the turnovers early. But this is just a dominant Nebraska team. So he said, hey, we got rid of turnovers. Now we got to be more aggressive in the running game. We've got to score some touchdowns. Once we get down into plus 20, we need to score.
Yeah, they're going to have to find a way to put some more points on the board, obviously, because they have a defense to win with. They're struggling right now to get in the end zone on offense. Over the head of Ethan Howell.
Bowling's putting on a nice display of throwing the ball right now. He made a headed play a few minutes ago, going up to the line and almost stepping over the line, but stepping back and throwing the ball. He looks comfortable in the pocket. You know, they may get outcome the fact that he can sit in the pocket and pocket pass. They don't have to pound people like they think they have to.
to Richardson.
Richardson is a nifty runner. I think he gets the ball in his hand. That's because his punt returning skill. He led OSU with 25 catches last year. He does a great job of just dropping back. You got one-on-one coverage outside. He throws it there, and now you turn into a punt returner. And then you just take off and get positive gain and try to get that ball into the end zone and make people miss.
Brown and Fobbs in the staggered eye. To the 4, that's all. And right now, the black shirts, a lot of number 2s in there, they're playing for a little bit of pride in that they have not allowed a rushing touchdown in 1999.
And you can believe it's a lot of pressure on him. It doesn't make any difference if it's second team or third team out there. The guys on the sideline saying, we don't want to give up a touchdown, and they want to hold him out. You look at Charlie McBride. I asked him why they call black shirt. He said because they wore black shirts during practice, so they started calling them the black shirts.
He gets maybe a yard. And there's a Cowboy player still down.
Look like somebody's in pain. You can see them kicking their legs down there a little bit.
Bill Byrne, the athletic director here at Nebraska, was telling us earlier, one of the things they have on their master plan that's probably a few years down the road is to expand this stadium so it seats in the mid-90s. Right now it seats close to 78,000. The player down is Brian Blackwood, junior tight end from Tulsa. Good player, too.
Coaches said about Blackwood, they felt that he was their best all-around tight end as far as catching the ball and as far as blocking at the point of attack. But this stadium, if they put 20 to 30,000 more seats, it still would be a sellout. That's what you call tradition.
Yeah, long waiting list to get season tickets here in Lincoln.
But the one thing that Blackwell does is he block well at the point of attack. The coaches say that. But when you got Nathan Cinnamons, he's trying to get into the end zone. And those running backs, they'll run up your back every now and then trying to get a positive gain.
Yeah, he got stretched pretty. Simmons, nowhere to go. Reminiscent of his final carry in the 98 game when they couldn't open a hole for him to get in the end zone.
I'll tell you what, they play excellent run defense here in Nebraska. You know, when you look at the rich tradition of weightlifting, and as you look at Bob Simmons looking on saying, we're going to stuff this ball down their throat, we're going to score. There's no doubt that he's going to go for it because he wants to get the ball in the end zone. But the weightlifting tradition that's at Nebraska, the fact that they're so strong in the squats and things like that, boy, I tell you what, it makes it tough for them.
It'll be 4th and goal when we come back. 1:56 left.
Hello, honey.
Quarter 38-7. They lead. They'll improve to 5-0. It's 4th down and goal with the football nestled between the 1 and 2 yard lines. Brown and Fobbs, the running backs. Fobbs trying to get to the end zone, and he will. First rushing touchdown of the year against the Huskers. And it's 38-13.
That was a great call. They ran an unbalanced line to one side and actually ran the other way. That was a super call by Ron Cagney. You got so many guys on the right side, and he pitches it to the left. And when you got a guy like Jamal Fobbs and he's running against linebackers, there's no way you're going to catch him.
And Sidness pokes it through. 38-14. We'll return to Lincoln in a moment.
It does not appear to be serious, but right now Blackwood threw for the game.
All right, Jim.
That great defense sitting there trying to ask each other what happened. Why is there 38 points on the board? Because they are an excellent defense.
They're an excellent defense, but they had to play too many snaps in that first half against a short field. The fullback gets to the 20-yard line, and we can tell you that the executive producers of today's game are Arthur Smith and Bill Borson. The coordinating producer for college football is Roy Hamilton. Today's game has been produced by the doctor, Robert Steinfeld, directed by Ken Miller today, and our graphics coordinator, the outstanding Tom Stoner. Vice President of Field Operations, Andrea Jenkins. And Euler that time didn't get much. Sean Barry made the play defensively. Our spotter today, all the way from the Big Apple, Chris Shaw. For that man, Rob Ryan. I think he's going to look at this film, and though the final score won't indicate it, he's going to realize his team didn't play that badly defensively. Diedrich had that carry, and here's our Dr. Pepper player of the game, Eric Crouch, 7 of 13 throwing the football, and also effective running the football. On the option, he had 11 carries for 61 yards.
The one thing you don't see in their rushing, Drew, is the fact that he drew the defensive end to him and had 3 pitches to his running backs all day long to score.
Another thorough victory for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. They came in number 6, and they roll 38-14. And for Oklahoma State, the sophomores, juniors, and seniors won't get another crack at the Huskers because they're off their schedule for a couple of years. Of course, Oklahoma State in the South Division of the Big 12 and Nebraska in the North. They've only defeated Nebraska twice, 1960 and 1961, the first 2 times they played. Let's get it down on the field. Here's Jim Knox with a winning head coach.
All right, thanks, Drew. Coach, you have to be extremely pleased. Complete domination today. Offense moved the ball well against a very stout Oklahoma State defense. Also, the defense played extraordinarily well.
I thought we played particularly well in the first half. Not real excited about our second half play. You know, we need to be able to play 4 quarters. We've stopped ourselves offensively with some penalties. We hurt ourselves a little bit defensively that way, too. So there's a lot of things to work on. But we are 5-0, and I'm proud of the way the kids have certainly given a great effort.
Yeah, it seems like this is a team that appears to get better each game out.
Well, I think that's true. They've really shown progress in a lot of ways. We can be a good team on all phases of it, offensively, defensively, kicking game, but we certainly need to work on some things, and we'll go about that starting Monday.
Okay, Coach, congratulations on the big victory.
Thank you.
All right, Drew, that's the story. 38-14, Oklahoma State goes down in defeat.
All right, Jim.
Great game for him today, and he has a lot to build on. Oklahoma State has to go back and look at some film.
Nebraska will be home to an improved Iowa State team next week. Oklahoma State will be in Stillwater to take on Texas Tech. A thorough victory today for Nebraska, 38-14. The offense did the job on the ground and threw the football exceptionally well also today, and the black shirts were their normal selves. Well, plan to join us next Saturday at a special time, 1:30 Eastern, 10:30 in the Pacific time zone for our next Big 12 football telecast as the Missouri Tigers visit the University of Colorado Buffaloes. Now for Keith Jackson and Jim Knox and our entire crew, I'm Drew Goodman saying so long from Lincoln, Nebraska, where the Huskers have knocked off the Cowboys 38-14.